Hello everybody, this is Ian, and in this video I'll give you a quick overview on the time spiral dAVe game system, the actual mechanics of how to run the game, how the game works. Right, playing the game. Just to let you know what the dAVe stands for. It stands for average dice, which is a cubic die with a two 3s, 2 4s, and a 5 on the 6 faces. Which gives you a more average spread of dice, hence the name. Spread of results, hence the name. Each time you are required to make a roll, and that's not always necessary. This is a narrative game after all, and most of the things characters will be getting up to, we can talk through and just get on with the narrative of the game. However, when situations do arise, which could perhaps the outcome of which is not as clear cut as you might expect, then dice will be rolled. The number of dice in the dice pool will be determined by the number of aspects of a character's background statement that apply, plus any external factors, minus any external factors. And this will be summed up, and you will have a dice pool of anywhere from 1 to 5. Now, the minimum is 1, and the maximum will be related depending upon the character's experience rank, which was discussed in character creation. But just basically to let you know again, there are 3 ranks ranging, give you 2, 3, 4, or 5 dice as a maximum. So you would roll those dice, and you would use just one of the die results, and that's usually the highest one. And the result of that die would range from a failure, which you could turn into a critical failure, but we'll come to that later. You could fail but get a good result from it, or you could be successful and get a slightly bad result out of it as well. There's a setback some way. The final result is a 5, which means you succeed without any outcomes. Yeah, critical failures. Catastrophic failures. If you do roll a 2 in any of your dice dice results, you could take the 2 as your actual roll, and you can give the GM a hero dice, a hero coin point, and describe in some way how your character absolutely cocks things up. You would also impose what's called a narrative constraint upon your character in some way, which would be more of a narrative narrative response to the actual gameplay, rather than perhaps a mechanical response. Plot points, I mentioned as hero points earlier. Plot points are used in a number of ways to basically affect the world around you. You can select to introduce some aspect of the world previously not mentioned, not clarified, and you could use them to remove a minor narrative constraint if you ever required to, or you can use them to increase one of your dice results by +1, and you get them at the start of every session by surviving each scene and by being entertaining, which would be presented or suggested by the other players. And obviously you can take another one by taking a catastrophic failure. So you can bank these plot points and use them as required throughout the game. narrative constraints, as I mentioned, just a narrative way of impeding your character in some way, and they usually just last 1 or 2 scenes. If you do have a serious lasting constraint, then that could even last for the remainder of the mission. It's entirely up to you how you deal with that. Time frames. As usual, we have the story arc, which is divided into scenes. Each scene could then be divided further into a number of frames, and within each frame, everyone gets to act once. That would more come into effect during the combat, where things would be a little bit more structured, and also the results of your combat actions are almost a bit more structured as well. Various things you can do during your action in the combat. You can attack, defend, or you can do something else, which is just a general task, which we've dealt with previously. So the results from a 2 to 5, failure up to success. So you'd roll your dAVe, your d-average, as normal. And if you attacked, you'd get various results. I won't go into them all, but obviously from detrimental to beneficial, both in attack and defense. So the situation could arrive where you're in a combat against an opponent, and the opponent may roll well, you may roll well, and both of you will be suffering some kind of effect. And then the in-game mechanics of the various results, disadvantaged, hurt, and wounded, are listed here. And if you wound various, especially if you wound a minor NPC, or if you get to a point where they have been taken out, as we've called it in this, you get to narrate how you take them out. You may not want to kill them, you may want to capture them, and that's entirely up to you. Okay, healing is very quick and easy. This is a cinematic game, so as long as you get some healing immediately after a combat, then you should be okay. The wounds will be minor, superficial. Zones. This is another concept I borrowed from another game. So the physical, spatial layout of a scene would comprise various zones, which you could move between as just a general action, simple action, as some games call it. Basically, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Easy. So you roll your dice, check your result, apply the results. There you go. Simple. And there's extra twists with plot points and narrative constraints. There we go. That'll do for now. The next one will be the actual time spiral setting itself, which may take a bit longer to go through. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.